When people think of America, they often picture New York skyscrapers, Hollywood stars, or maybe the chaos of Florida headlines. But here's a fact that surprises a lot of people. The United States isn't just about big cities and wild news stories. In fact, some American towns are so safe, quiet, and peaceful that you could probably leave your front door unlocked. Though, let's be real, don't actually try that. Now, safest city can mean different things depending on who you ask. Some people care about crime rates. Others look at natural disasters, healthcare access, or even how polite the neighbors are. But in general, when Americans brag about safety, they're talking about low violent crime, low property crime, and a sense of community where people actually trust each other. And here's the thing, some of the safest places in the US aren't the ones you'd expect. They're not always the biggest or the richest or even the most famous. Sometimes they're smaller cities you've barely heard of. The kind of places that make you think, wait, people actually live there? And they love it? So in this video, we're breaking down the safest cities in America. We'll look at what makes them safe, why people choose to move there, and maybe even a few quirks that come with living in these ultra-peaceful spots. From New England towns that feel like movie sets, to desert communities where crime is almost non-existent, to Midwestern suburbs that are basically real-life versions of Pleasantville, you're about to see a side of America most people don't talk about. And trust me, the city that takes the #1 spot, let's just say you'll be surprised it isn't somewhere you already know. If you're looking for a place in America where the scariest thing you'll see is a line at Starbucks, welcome to Naperville, Illinois. This Chicago suburb consistently ranks as one of the safest cities in the US. Honestly, it looks like it was designed to appear in a Hallmark movie. Naperville isn't some tiny town with nothing going on. It's got nearly 150,000 residents, a bustling downtown with restaurants and shops, and even its own riverwalk that locals treat like a mini tourist attraction. And yet, crime? Practically non-existent. Violent crime here is so rare that when something happens, it makes front page news because people are that shocked. So why is Naperville so safe? A big part of it is wealth. The median household income here is way above the national average, and poverty rates are super low. Combine that with excellent schools, community programs, and a very active local police force, and you get a place where crime just doesn't have much room to grow. But it's not just about stats. People here are involved. You'll find neighborhood associations, local events, and a culture where residents actually know their neighbors. In other words, if you try to break into a house, there's a solid chance 3 people will notice before you even touch the door. Of course, safety comes with a price. Naperville isn't cheap. Housing can be expensive, and some people argue it feels a little too perfect, like Stepford Wives perfect. But for families looking for peace of mind, parks, good schools, and a crime rate so low it feels like a typo, Naperville is basically a dream. And while Naperville proves that suburbs can be safe havens, the next city shows that even a desert can be one of the most peaceful places to live. When most people think of California, they picture Hollywood, beaches, or maybe traffic so bad it should be illegal. But tucked into Orange County is a city that's basically the opposite of chaotic LA. Irvine, and get this, it's often ranked as the safest big city in America. Now, Irvine isn't small, we're talking nearly 300,000 residents. That's bigger than plenty of entire countries' capitals. Yet crime here is shockingly low, especially violent crime. Year after year, Irvine tops the FBI's list for lowest violent crime rate among large U.S. cities. So yeah, if you're looking for drama, you won't find it here. Unless you count homeowners association meetings, which can get pretty intense. So how does Irvine pull this off? Well, for starters, it was master planned. Literally. Developers designed it with safety, efficiency, and community in mind. Wide streets, organized neighborhoods, tons of parks and schools that consistently rank among the best in the nation. It's like The Sims, but in real life. And then there's the diversity. Irvine has one of the most international populations in California, with huge communities from Korea, China, India, and beyond. That mix creates a city that feels globally connected, but locally tight-knit. Add in top universities like UC Irvine, booming job opportunities in tech and healthcare, and a median income that's sky high, and you've got a city where crime doesn't really stand a chance. Now, here's the trade-off. Irvine isn't cheap. Housing prices are brutal, and cost of living is way above the national average. Plus, some people say it feels a little too manufactured, like everything's clean and perfect, but maybe a little soulless. Still, if you ask residents, safety and quality of life outweigh all that. So while Irvine proves a big city can still be calm and safe, the next place flips the script completely. A smaller East Coast city that's safe, historic, and charming enough to make you feel like you've stepped back in time. When people think of the South, they often imagine barbecue, college football, and hospitality so strong, you leave someone's house with a to-go plate whether you asked for it or not. But nestled in North Carolina's Research Triangle is a city that adds something else to the list: safety. Welcome to Cary. Cary is one of those places that feels like a small town but is secretly a booming suburb. With around 180,000 residents, it's big enough to have everything you need: shopping, schools, businesses, but still has that cozy community vibe. And here's the kicker: Cary has one of the lowest crime rates in the entire South. Violent crime here is so rare, you're more likely to see a squirrel steal your picnic sandwich than a criminal cause trouble. Why so safe? Part of it comes down to demographics. Cary has a high percentage of families and professionals who work in nearby tech hubs like Raleigh and Durham. It's also home to a large international community, especially Indian and Chinese families, which has shaped the city into a diverse, family-friendly place where education and community values are huge. And the city invests in itself. Cary is packed with parks, greenways, and cultural festivals that keep people connected. That sense of belonging naturally reduces crime, because when you know your neighbors, you're less likely to cause trouble. Of course, it's not perfect. Housing prices in Cary have shot up as more people move in, and longtime locals sometimes joke that Cary stands for Containment Area for Relocated Yankees, since so many folks from the Northeast are moving down. But hey, safe streets, great schools, and some of the best Southern food around? It's no wonder people are flocking here. And if you think Cary sounds peaceful, wait until you hear about a New England city that's not only safe, but also looks like it belongs on the cover of a postcard. If Cary is Southern charm wrapped in safety, then Burlington, Vermont is cozy New England vibes with a side of maple syrup. This lakeside city of about 45,000 people isn't just safe. It's so peaceful that crime almost feels like a foreign concept here. Burlington sits right on the shores of Lake Champlain, surrounded by mountains, forests, and enough natural beauty to make you wonder if the place was designed by Pinterest. And while it's the largest city in Vermont, it still feels small, walkable, and ridiculously friendly. The crime rate here? Consistently among the lowest in the entire country, especially when it comes to violent crime. Why so safe? Well, Vermont in general has a reputation for being calm and community-oriented. People actually trust each other. Neighbors look out for one another. And Burlington doubles down on that with progressive policies, strong local government, and a culture where people value quality of life over chaos. Plus, the University of Vermont brings in students and research opportunities, keeping the city active and connected. But here's the real charm. Burlington feels like a postcard town: cobblestone streets, farm-to-table restaurants, a bustling waterfront, and yes, craft beer breweries on almost every corner. It's the kind of place where crime just doesn't really fit the aesthetic. Of course, the trade-offs are there. Winters can be brutal. We're talking snow that makes you reconsider life choices. And the cost of living isn't exactly cheap. But ask locals and they'll tell you it's worth it for the peace of mind and the stunning scenery. So if you're looking for a city where you can bike along the lake, eat organic kale, and not worry about crime, Burlington is your spot. And speaking of scenic safety, the next city proves that even in the desert, you can find one of the calmest, safest communities in all of America. When you think of Arizona, your mind probably jumps straight to the Grand Canyon, scorching heat, or maybe retirees golfing year-round. But tucked just outside Phoenix is Gilbert, a city that's quietly built a reputation as one of the safest places in America. With around 275,000 residents, Gilbert isn't a tiny desert town. It's a fast-growing suburb that somehow manages to feel both modern and laid back at the same time. And crime? Basically on vacation. The violent crime rate here is less than half the national average, and property crime is also impressively low. So what's Gilbert's secret? A big factor is its transformation. Once a small farming community, Gilbert exploded into a thriving suburb thanks to Arizona's tech and finance boom. Families moved in, schools improved, and the city invested heavily in infrastructure and community programs. That mix created a place where people feel connected, kids grow up safe, and crime just doesn't have much space to thrive. Gilbert also has that classic suburban feel: wide streets, planned neighborhoods, and community events that actually bring people together. You'll find farmers markets, outdoor concerts, and more parks than you'd expect in the middle of the desert. It's the kind of place where if a crime happens, everyone in town is probably talking about it. Of course, living in Gilbert comes with trade-offs. Summers are brutally hot. We're talking 110-degree warm days where stepping outside feels like walking into an oven. And because it's growing so fast, traffic and housing costs are rising too. But for families who want sunshine, community, and peace of mind, Gilbert hits all the marks. And while Gilbert shows the desert can be safe, the final city on our list takes suburban calm to a whole new level. A place where crime is so rare it almost feels like living inside a bubble. So there you have it. 5 of the safest cities in America. From Naperville's picture-perfect suburbs to Irvine's master-planned calm, to Cary's southern charm, to Burlington's postcard New England vibes, and Gilbert's desert peace, these places prove that safety in the U.S. isn't just possible, it's thriving. Now, of course, no city is 100% crime-free. Even in these communities, you'll still find the occasional car break-in, rowdy neighbor, or lost pet raccoon causing trouble. But compared to the national average, the odds of running into serious crime in these cities are dramatically lower. That's why families, retirees, and even young professionals looking for peace of mind end up moving to spots like these. What's interesting is how different they all are. Naperville and Cary are classic suburbs with strong schools and community spirit. Irvine is a huge, diverse city that somehow still feels safe and orderly. Burlington is cozy and scenic, the kind of place where strangers still smile at each other. And Gilbert shows that even in the middle of the desert, you can build a safe, family-friendly oasis. So whether you're planning to move, travel, or just curious about how Americans define safety, these cities give you a snapshot of where people feel secure, connected, and comfortable calling home. But now, let me throw it back to you. Which of these cities surprised you the most? If you had the chance to live in one, would you pick the snowy charm of Burlington, the sunny suburbs of Gilbert, or maybe the big city but still safe vibe of Irvine? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear where you think the safest city in America really is. And who knows, maybe your hometown will make the list next time.